I'm comparing the MaxxAir fan to the FreshAir fan and show you how to install them. I've used a MaxxAir fan for 4 years and I've been using the FreshAir for an entire year, so I have good experience with both. You need one of these. Their wind keeps you cool when you have no AC. Know that they both fit in the exact same size roof cutout, a 14 by 14 inch hole, and they are both 12 volts. So both fans are very interchangeable down the line if you decide to switch. I will be giving a point to the best in each category. So how much wind do these fans produce? Put simply, if you want a fan on your roof like everyone else, you just get a MaxxAir fan. It works. But if you actually want to feel it like jets of air ripping around you, you get the FreshAir fan. This is the MaxxAir on lowest power. And again on full power. Now this is the FreshAir on lowest power. And then again on full power. So even the full power of the MaxxAir is about 10 times less wind than the lowest setting on the FreshAir. I've also been in vans with 2 MaxxAir fans installed, one blowing in and one out, and I felt no more wind than just having one MaxxAir fan installed. The first point must go to the FreshAir fan. What about these fans' power draws? We are on a limited battery powered by the sun. These are both 12 volt fans, so no inverter is needed to run them. A MaxxAir uses about half an amp at its lowest to 3.2 amps at its highest setting. A FreshAir fan uses about 1.5 amps on its lowest setting and 5.6 amps on its highest setting. This is not actually a huge difference, but even the lowest setting of the FreshAir is still about 10 times more windy than the MaxxAir. For the amount of power used to do what the product is actually supposed to be doing, I'm actually going to give the FreshAir fan the second point on the scoreboard. Just how loud are these fans? Let's listen side by side. The MaxxAir fan is definitely a tiny bit quieter, but personally I have loved falling asleep to the white noise of both fans. When I really needed the fans to keep me cool, I'd always use the highest power of the MaxxAir. It was needed, which produced more noise. I almost always run the FreshAir fan on one of the lowest 2 settings when it's hot overnight. Still, I'm going to give this point to the MaxxAir fan because it's just ever so slightly more quiet. What about their stealth appeal from the outside? Everyone has come to recognize MaxxAir fans on camper vans. When you see one, you're probably thinking someone is inside at that very moment, especially if it's up and running. The FreshAir fan sits 3.7 inches above the van metal, pretty flat, and that is it. It does not need to lift up like the MaxxAir fan does. The MaxxAir fan closed is 5 inches tall, and when it's open, it's about 9.5 inches tall. The FreshAir fan is definitely wider, taking up more real estate above the van, but it's overall very flat and not as eye-catching. This point seems clear to me. It goes to the FreshAir. And now we compare on price, but we can't really talk about price without mentioning their durabilities over time and the extra features that separate the FreshAir from its competition. The MaxxAir Deluxe is right now around $300. The FreshAir fan is $1,500. Now this would seem like a major difference and that the MaxxAir fan should take the point. But there is something about the FreshAir fan that I have not yet introduced, making the price point an unfair comparison between the two. The FreshAir fan also functions as a hybrid air cooler. You can run the FreshAir fan just like you do a MaxxAir fan all day, every day. But in exchange for just under 1 liter of water per hour max, which you can route from your van's existing water tank, you get a dry output evaporative cooler. Yes, it does not put any condensation into the air. You need to be in a dry climate for this to work, but the company claims that it will cool the air up to 40 degrees cooler than ambient temps. actual tests from other channels on YouTube show they have gotten 20 degrees less in the deserts around Arizona when it was above 100 degrees out. Like I said, durability is also a factor when looking at price. Knowing tons of van lifers with MaxxAir fans, I understand that your MaxxAir fan can malfunction even the first time you use it, like it did with my friend, constantly opening, closing, lights flashing. Mine lasted for 4 years, until the lift mechanism broke, and upon fixing this, the electronics stopped working too. So I had to buy a $100 chip to replace it, but it would have taken 4 months to get one. So I just bought a new MaxxAir fan because I was selling this fan that week. I have not yet seen a review of FreshAir malfunctioning. Not that they don't, I just haven't seen one yet. So this point goes to FreshAir for durability. Plus, just holding the two fans in your hands uninstalled, the FreshAir definitely seems way higher quality, and the MaxxAir seems a little flimsy in your hands. The FreshAir fan also has a light below it that I've used for the last 3 months camping. Take note, most of the MaxxAir fan sits above the roof. A good bit of the FreshAir fan sits below the roof. So you'll need to take this into account during your build. I'm personally getting a real AC mounted beneath my bed in the future. Now this is to actually cool down the van, and to do this, you need a ton of lithium battery and solar up top. I only plan on using the FreshAir for its air jets or cooling with water if it's just absolutely necessary at that moment. And given the price difference, I'd still much rather prefer having the jets of extra wind rather than the MaxxAir fan in every single case that I can imagine. Although if you choose the MaxxAir fan, you should also buy an internal wall-mounted fan for overnight sweats. You will need it in the hot summers. A MaxxAir alone was never enough for me.
This does great at circulating the air through the entire van. Do you feel it? No.
The MaxxAir fan also needs this huge bug screen below it to keep bugs out, which would also greatly reduce the airflow, so I took it off in my first fan and some bugs did get in. The FreshAir in mosquito-infested areas does not introduce even one mosquito into the van all night long, and it doesn't require any bug screens. Now, the one function a MaxxAir has that the FreshAir does not have is that it can vent to the outside, so you can reverse the fan blade, pushing air out of your van. Ever get bugs flying all over your TV at night because they are attracted to the light of the screen? It's annoying, right? There is a simple solution. Put your ceiling fan on reverse so the wind is blowing outwards, and then take off the bug screen, turn off all the lights in the van, and shine a phone light directly into the fan blades. Do this for about 10 seconds and the van will be completely mosquito, gnat, and moth free. They get sucked right out. Watch this video, it good. Subscribe as well. If you don't subscribe, I'm going to kill your mom.